This piece of DNA is a part of you, and all of these make up who you are and every single person around you. Hi, my name is Shreyoshi Bose, and I'll be talking about the wonders and possibilities of epigenomes. Well, a genome is a person's inherited information, and the epigenomes decide whether or not which gene is being expressed in the body. So how does 3 billion base pairs of DNA make up each individual skin color, hair color, or eye color, and making each one's genetic material different from one another? Well, let's think about it this way. Maybe I had an identical twin that somehow got separated at birth and grew up in a completely different environment as I did. She grew up in a more rural area with lesser nutrients and resources as I did while growing up in a more urbanized area. If we somehow decide to meet up 30 years in the future, we would realize we don't look that identical at all. In fact, our DNA would have altered and changed depending on the environment's impact on us. Genomes themselves get instructions from carbon and hydrogen compounds known as methyl groups, which instructs the genes on which gene to be expressed or to be turned off. The methyl groups will bind differently to each genome, for example, a skin cell or an eye cell, and that is how they are identified on what type of cell they are and their functions. The methyl groups acts as a signal along the DNA sequence, turning some of the genetic material on and some of them off. The DNA is wound around proteins known as histones that also control the epigenomes. So picture this. If the DNA is wound around really tightly around the histones, that means they're going to be hard to access, which means the genes are going to be silent. But on the other hand, if the DNA is wound really loosely around the histones, that means the DNA is easily accessed and the gene is going to be expressed. And because of this action, each cell has a distinct methylation and a histone pattern, which gives each cell their marching order. And most of our epigenetics are actually inherited from our grandparents or parents that passed down for many generations. Your very own grandmother could have made dietary decisions that can affect you today, as we face all new sorts of epidemic diseases like cancer, diabetes, autoimmune, or other cardiovascular diseases. And all of these diseases weren't appearing in any of the previous generations and could have been the result of epigenetics being passed down from generations to generations. But there are actually some good things that have happened because of our knowledge in epigenetics. For example, some forms of cancer have actually occurred because of misplaced genes. And now scientists have found a way to silence the bad genes that weren't supposed to be on in the first place. Well, just so you know, you are making life decisions that are going to affect people long after you're dead. But there's also a possibility that you can pass those tendencies and reprogram your own epigenome. I mean, no pressure or anything, but just keep that in mind and always have hope.